So after the success of your tenure on the school board, what did you transition into next? Where'd you go?
Yeah, well, I spent almost 10 years on the school board, and what I realized was that we were relying on our schools to solve a lot of issues that exist in our communities, whether it was a child coming into school hungry and our schools being expected to feed them breakfast, lunch, and in some cases dinner, whether it was healthcare. We had some schools where we opened clinics at the school sites for the kids and the parents. We had dental clinics at some of our schools. We had food pantries. We had clothing not stores because it was free, but closets, right? All the things that should have been done in the community were being done in our schools. And I found that to be fundamentally unfair because we blame our schools for everything, yet we give them limited resources and then tell them to do everything, right? So I went to the state Senate because I believe that our families and our teachers deserve better. They deserved a state government that it was actually doing what they were supposed to be doing. And what I found when I was fortunate enough to be elected in 2022 was that there were a lot of folks down there who, at the Capitol, who were well-intentioned, but they were distracted. They were distracted by the politics. And instead of focusing in on the needs of our communities, they were talking about all these other issues that were national issues or issues that the special interest wanted you to focus on. I'm like, y'all, there are people in our communities right now struggling. And today they are struggling even more than they were when I started in the state Senate. Even though Georgia has the resources, we have the talent, but what we're missing is the leadership.
Yeah. So I'm trying to say this without trying to offend anybody, but
Yeah.
I feel like almost, and I probably shouldn't even say this, and my wife says normally when you say that, don't say it, but I'm going to say it anyways. I feel that 80% of our legislators up there at the Capitol are now just going through the motions. I won't say any names because that would really be bad, but they have forgot what you just described. They forgot that they actually work for the people. They need to be making a difference for our Georgians, for our communities, and that's what they were elected to do. And when I go up there, I feel like there's about 80% of them that they're desensitized. They don't care. I mean, they're going to do what they want to do until it's election time. But also, kudos to you. You voted, so you have voted in Labor's favor 100% of the time.
That's right.
When you were at the Senate. That's rare. So I just want the listeners to know, if you're watching this, you voted for Labor.
Absolutely.
100% of the time, and I can't thank you enough for that. I mean, various different things. And you can definitely tell that you haven't forgotten about the people and that you're trying to, run for the Georgians, run for those students that are in the school system that are insecure, food insecure, housing insecure, and that's the kind of governor that we're going to need. And I know we don't have enough time, but I know 100% because you've shared with me before your policies and how you're going to get to there.
That's right.
And we've had those conversations before. So I know.
But ultimately, quickly, it's about giving people a fair shot. I mean, whether I'm talking to somebody on the basketball court, whether it's me working in my restaurants, whether you're talking to someone in this building, all they want is a fair shot. They don't want a handout.
Yeah. So I don't even need to ask this next question because you've answered it through this whole podcast. But I was going to say, hey, why are you running for governor?
Yeah.
But if you've been listening to this podcast, I think that you've already answered that. But if you want to elaborate, like the question, why are you running for governor?
Yeah, I'm running to give Georgians a fair shot. Those who want to work hard and are frustrated because the deck is stacked against them, because the system is holding them back. And the system favors billionaires and big corporations.
Yeah.
We can ensure that people who work hard, that they have access to the insurance that they need, that they have opportunities to good paying jobs, not just by going to college or going into the military, but getting skilled in a trade and going into apprenticeship program. We can ensure that our children and our grandchildren have more opportunities than what we've had by ensuring that people have the opportunity to afford safe communities with good schools. We have the resources for it. We have the talent for it. We don't have the leadership for it. And here's the thing, Kenny. When you go down to the state capitol, and I spent a couple terms in the state Senate working with Republicans, working with Democrats to get stuff done, there are people who want to do more for working families. I have Republicans that are excited about my campaign.
That's awesome.
Not because they want a Democratic governor, but because there's a potential for there to be a governor in this state that is willing to do whatever it takes to work together to get the job done.
Because they know you.
They know me. They've worked with me.
Yeah.
And you can go down there today and talk to Republican legislators, talk to Republican strategists, and they will tell you that they are most worried about my campaign because I speak to common sense issues. I am living these experiences now. A couple weeks ago, Kenny, I had to cancel some morning events that I had in the governor's race because I had to go down to Macon and I had to work in my kitchen because we had some call outs.
Nice, yeah.
I was literally flipping eggs
nice.
and cooking bacon and sausage.
Yeah.
And then that afternoon was at meet and greets and events for the governor's race.
Yeah.
So I'm on the front lines. I see the struggle that people are going through. My wife with her urgent care. So I have the lived experiences, but I also have a vision for the future of the state that gives people something to vote for, not just something to vote against. And that's incredibly important because there are candidates in this race who want to focus on what we should be voting against, which is Donald Trump. And we should, there's a lot to discuss there and unpack there, right? With all the chaos and destruction that's coming out of Washington, D.C. But at the same time, what's going to get that person who's on the couch and is looking at politics and saying, I'm done with this shit?
Yeah.
Who's going to get them to come out and vote? Ultimately, it's the person who has a message that's focused on health, wealth, and opportunity. Because no matter who you are, no matter what you look like, no matter where you're from in the state, those are the things you care about.
So right there in that, what you just said, is there a link or something that you want to tag right here where you can tell them to go look at your policy and your plan right now?
They should go to jasonesteves.com. And they could also follow me on social media at Jason Esteves. That's Esteves. And they can see some of my plans. In fact, I'm the only candidate in this race that has published plans on how to do certain things. We're going to release a healthcare plan here soon. We've released our education plan and our maternal healthcare plan. We're also going to release an environmental plan as well. But what we're doing is we're telling people what we intend on doing so that they can ultimately hold us accountable, because the same old politics with empty rhetoric and empty promises is not going to work. We have to deliver on what we're actually talking about.
Yeah.
And a lot of politicians will make these vague promises. If you hear me, and we've spoken about this, Kenny, I'm specific about what I'm going to do. When I talk about education, I tell you that I'm going to implement universal child care in Georgia so that all 3 and 4-year-olds can go to early learning. And I know that how that benefits the building trades, right? To ensure that your members have a safe place where they can drop off their children while they go to work and be able to afford it and then not break the bank. I tell folks about how I'm going to invest in apprenticeship programs and make technical college system of Georgia free so that we can ensure that we're partnering with labor to build not just a workforce, but to build the next generation of workers who are going to power this state for the next several decades, and labor will be leading the way in that.
Awesome. So if you get elected as governor, is there going to be a seat at the table in your administration for union labor leaders?
There just won't be a seat. On day one, I'm creating a labor council that I will be meeting with directly, at least quarterly, to talk about how we can make Georgia a better place for work.
Nice.
Right now, as you know, Kenny, when it comes to workplace conditions in Georgia, we're near the bottom in the country when it comes to that. And it's because we've had leadership that has ignored workers, that has not valued workers.
Exploited workers.
Exploited workers. We have leadership that values the big companies and the CEOs and the billionaires more than they do the workers who are making who are actually making the products and making the money for those corporations. So labor will have a seat at the table. I'm going to have a labor council, but I'm also going to hold these companies accountable that are exploiting our workers, whether it's with the misclassification issue that we see that's rampant. We have laws in place that would help cut that down. What we're missing is the enforcement of it. I'm going to make sure that we enforce those companies, but I'm also going to make sure we stop writing blank checks to these big corporations that don't actually deliver on jobs for Georgians.
I love it.
That's a 100%. Big thing.
Yes, I agree. I love that. Something else I want to kind of get your opinion on is, transitioning towards jobs for building trades and data centers.
Yeah.
I think there's been a lot of legislation this year to try and stop the data centers from coming to Georgia. With building trades, that's about 25,000 jobs. We build all these data centers, and that's just on the organized labor side. Construction jobs as a whole in the state of Georgia on data centers are unbelievable. And I get part of it. I think the public opinion is they're scared of uncertainty. They don't know what's happening with these data centers and what the actual end goal will be or what the end result of a data center will be. But a lot of times there are things in life that if you enjoy and that you need data centers to be here for to keep up with that data. So like on my chart, we use my chart for my parents and, the older community, a lot of them, they're getting all their doctor's records and stuff on their phone. Well, that's stored in data centers. So I want to know kind of how you feel and how you can make sure. And then I understand if we have to put in, and I've had multiple conversations, and a lot of the public's opinion is they don't understand, they're scared that it's going to tap into the water table and they're using millions and millions of gallons of water. But with new technology, they are using closed loop systems now where that stuff, they're not using as much water. Right. If we need sound barriers and we need to build up something for sound, I just kind of want to know, what your opinion is on that. And, and it's going to have to tie back to, because I do know a lot of the ignorance is they think that their power bill's going up because of the data centers. Well, the data centers they're starting to, their rates are negotiated on a 15-year power lease that at a higher rate.
Right.
They're increasing the rates on them and not necessarily the community. So I just would like to hear you talk a few minutes on how we could save those jobs on the data centers and how you feel about them.
Yeah, well, look, I'm for any good-paying job, any economic development project that brings good-paying jobs to Georgia, especially union jobs. So I am going to continue to do what we can to bring those economic development projects to the state of Georgia. When it comes to data centers, there are communities that want data centers, and I want to make that crystal clear. There's also communities that don't necessarily want data centers. So I think that the data centers should go to the communities that want them, but we can also make sure to hold them accountable. We can make sure that they're using the latest technology, like you said, so that's a closed loop system and doesn't use up all of the water. We can also make sure that they pay their fair share of infrastructure and utility costs. And I think that we should also make sure that the tax incentives that are currently going to the data centers, that they be used more efficiently so that it doesn't take. Some estimates believe that, or some folks believe that the estimates for state giveaways going to data centers will reach $3 to $4 billion in the next couple of years. That's a lot of money, Kenny. That's more than most of the tax incentives that we have. So I want to make sure that we put that money in the pockets where it belongs, and I believe that's with the people. It doesn't belong in the pockets of Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. But here's the thing. Those data centers don't come because of the tax incentives. They come because Georgia has a great workforce, like the building trades members do. They come because Georgia has a reliable grid for electricity.
100%.
And they come because Georgia has a fairly efficient process when it comes to commercial building and industrial buildings. So I want to make sure that we maintain that environment so that we continue to attract data centers. And here's the thing. While those data centers may not receive all of the state tax incentives that they're getting today, they will continue to receive the local tax incentives that move them into specific areas, which will help to continue to incentivize those data centers to come to Georgia. So ultimately, just like everything, Kenny, we have to find the balance. And that's what we're missing in the conversation right now, which is why so many people are against them now, because they feel that there's an imbalance. There's an imbalance with how much water they're using. There's an imbalance with the impact that it could be having, whether it's with noise, air. There's an imbalance with the amount of tax incentives that are going that way. So it's all about making sure that we balance it so that those jobs continue to come here, but at the same time, our communities are not negatively impacted.
See, I kind of see it with the situation going on right now is say what you mean and mean what you say. Be no difference than if I told folks that we're going to cut your income taxes. You're not going to have to pay any state income taxes until 2032. And then I turn around and I say, oh, actually, I changed that on you. You're going to have to start paying state income taxes in 2027, January 1. I get it. My position is I think as a state, when we draw them here, we need to say what we mean and mean what we say. So, after we want to, I think it's 2032. If we want to stop it then, let them know in 2032, we've already gave you that word and made a deal with you. Whatever the money is,
we're not renewing it.
We're not renewing it. We're done with that. The communities, and your tax incentives are done. We held our word up, and we're going a different direction. It's over. That was my only rub with it. But I get it, because I'm an outdoorsman. I'm a conservationist, so I like to go do what I want to do outdoors, and I get it. They're buying up all the land, but we've already made a commitment to them, and that's my only thing. Integrity's big, and if you tell somebody you're going to do something, that's the only rub I had with it.
Integrity matters, and when I was in the finance committee in the Senate, and we debated the bill last year that would have implemented a moratorium on those tax giveaways. And my argument was instead of having a moratorium and just completely turning it on its head and interrupting that flow, let's be clear with what the runway is for the end of those tax giveaways.
100%.
Let's stop playing games, because what a moratorium is and what a study committee is, and you know these study committees, you already know what the answer is. So why play the game? Let's just be clear about what we intend on doing.
Say what you mean and mean what you say.
Say what you mean and mean what you say. Let's tell them the runway for when these giveaways will end, and then we end it, because all those guys down there want to end it. So let's be clear about what we want to do instead of playing these political games.
And you get more respect by that way too. People will admire. They'll respect you more. They'll know where you come from, and your integrity's there. And we won't be known as a state that'll just trap you, get you here, trick you, and then snatch the rug out from under you. Because that's not the way I operate. And Kemp hasn't done very many good things, in my opinion. I probably shouldn't say that, but he did stand on some integrity, and he vetoed that last year. So I was good to see that. I said, hey, man, maybe, he is trying to make sure Georgia still has some integrity. And so that's one good thing that he's done that I could say. I don't know anything else, honestly. Well, you bring Hyundai here and bring foreign workers, and you don't give jobs to Georgians. I get the economic growth, but at the end of the day, you're sitting at that governor's behind that desk in that chair, and your first priority needs to be Georgians.
Yeah, without a doubt. And
100%.
And that's where I understand why he vetoed the bill. It's a bill that I voted against, because you just can't pull the rug out of folks. And as a business guy, I understand that. You have contracts, you've invested all this money. Why not just be clear on the front end, be transparent about it? But I agree with you. We can't continue to give these blank checks to these large corporations and they not fulfill the promise.
That's
$1.8 billion going to Hyundai. $1.8 billion. That's almost $500 per taxpayer.
Yeah, that's a chunk of money.
And they brought in a whole bunch of out-of-state workers, not only to build the building, but to get the building ready for production. And then now they're talking about how they're going to use AI and robots to do most of the jobs in the production facility. So it was an okie doke.
Yeah, the one in Cartersville, I go by it frequently off 411.
Yeah.
And it's just this massive, huge compound.
Yeah.
And there's probably 100 cars there. There's probably 5,000 parking spots, and there's 100 cars in it. You know, and I go by it pretty frequently, and I'm like, what's going on? And that's scary. That's probably going to be what you're talking about, AI, and they've probably got different stuff that they're going to do where they're going to cut down on the workforce.
I don't know if you've seen it. There's a 60 Minutes report. Have you seen it?
I haven't.
I'm gonna send it to you.
Okay.
And if folks listening, you can Google 60 Minutes Hyundai AI robot, and it'll pop up. But they are testing Hyundai in Savannah right now. They are testing these robots that are like humans. They walk like humans to literally pick up parts and put them in the machine that takes it to the next step. And 60 Minutes briefly interviewed somebody who was doing that same exact job and said, how do you feel that this robot may one day replace you?
Yeah, I've got to look at that.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
But my problem is not bringing these economic development projects. My problem is giving them billions of dollars in state money and not making sure that they go through their promise. 7,500 jobs, 2 Georgians. That's what we were told.
Yes.
That is not what we're seeing. They should not get the $1.8 billion.
That goes back to say what you mean.
That's right.
Mean what you say.
That's right.
I mean, take care of the people that live here in the state. You know, if you say that, take care of them.
Live here,
follow through.
Live here in the state and are paying those tax dollars.
That's right.
Into
Follow
the system.
through, man. Help them. You know, it's already, housing prices it's coming down now. But I mean, my son, I got my youngest son. He's in college, and he was going to go be a dentist. I got tickled when you said that earlier, and he's in biology, and so he's switching his major now, and he's going to politics. And I'm like, okay, dude, but that's a rough life. What little bit I've been in it, I can tell you better have thick skin. But anyway,
I can affirm that.
For sure. But yeah, so is there anything else that you want to say to people listening to carry us out? Any final remarks? This has been fun. It's been a really good conversation.
Yeah,
and again, I appreciate you coming.
And I appreciate you having me. And look, I know that we are in serious times, and there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of challenges that people are having to just afford the basics, going to the grocery store, renting an apartment, traveling on the highway. Now there are toll roads being built everywhere. Life has gotten more expensive.
Yeah.
And my message to folks is if they are tired of the old politics, full of empty rhetoric and broken promises, then there is a new generation of leadership. People like me who are laser focused on delivering results, on tapping into the talent and the resources that we have in this state and leveling the playing field for working families. That's what my campaign is about. Economic opportunity and healthcare. It's why I talk about health, wealth, and opportunity. So if that interests you, I want you to join my campaign. I want to earn your vote. Visit my website, jasonesteves.com. Follow me on social media and join the movement. We are building momentum. I'm proud of the fact that we're the top fundraiser in this race, that we earned the most endorsements in this race, that we already have 2 labor unions that have endorsed my campaign, and we're going to continue to build on that. And Kenny, we're on TV now. So we're going to continue to build, because what we've seen is that Georgians are looking for a leader like me, and we're going to show them that they have that leader running and that they need to vote for Jason Esteves.
Nice. Well, thank you. I appreciate your time. And like always, good to talk to you, Jason. And look forward to maybe jumping on the basketball court.
There you go. Let's do it. I'm
All
ready.
right. Good. See y'all.
Thanks, Kenny.